doing? It's been a while since I've been down the plot live, hasn't it? Hey! Yeah, well, I had an early start. I know there's no one here watching, but I just thought I'd do it as like a mini vlog, I suppose. So yeah, 2023. There's a pigeon over there trying to skewer himself on a fence. I think he's having a scratch. Anyway, yeah, 2023. Time to get cracking on a few allotment jobs, isn't it? That pigeon's still at it. I get so sidetracked when I do these lives, don't I? Anyway, 2023, back on the plot after a couple of months off for winter. I've been down feeding the chickens, but I haven't done very much really. As you've probably seen from my videos, that I've put in some slabs now, which will make it easier for me walking to and from the chickens. Absolutely killed me. I'm still feeling rough. I mean, my hands, obviously my hands don't bend properly anyway, but my hands just doing that, the pain, it's like cramp, and so I'm struggling a bit with them, but it'll be all good. It'll be all good. By the end of the week, I'll be fine. But yeah, just goes to show, doesn't it, how laying 15 slabs when you have a disability can just completely kibosh your week. Yeah, so anyway, got a few jobs to do. I've got to sort out the bug hotel, which I've started doing now. It's just over there. You can see it. I've had the bug hotel going there now for a few years. I've even had stag beetles. I've seen stag beetles once in that corner, but once was enough. So I put loads of logs there. I top it up with all the raspberry canes and things like that over the winter. And I just basically build up a pile of debris and right next to the pond. Seems to work wonders. We get loads of frogs, dragonflies and everything else you can possibly think of. So yeah, so I've been doing that today. I've also got to sort out my raised beds. I'll flip the camera and show you, because I think I've about this in the past, but I use this horrible membraney stuff. Stupid of me, I know. Here we go. Flip the camera around. Can we flip it around? There it is. See it? I use that, and it's an absolute, look at it. It gets absolutely everywhere. Shouldn't have done it. Stupid idea. But yeah, I've now got to rectify it, which is not a bad thing. It just means I've got to go through that. I'm going to sieve through it, take out any bits of plastic I see, and then reuse the compost. I'm going to line this with probably some recycled rubber stuff I've got. So not like tyre rubber, it's pond liner. That's the stuff. I'm going to line it with that. It's a bit like this, actually. See the difference? This stuff doesn't fray, so you get a lot less microplastics, if any at all. But the cheap woven stuff is absolutely shocking, and it frays it frays almost instantly. It's horrible rubbish, absolutely horrible rubbish. Try not to swear, because I do far too much swearing, but I know which word I substituted there, don't you? Yeah, so I've also got to sort the rest of my weeds out for the winter. As you know, I pile up all my weeds in a big pot, let them rot down, and then I put compost and stuff on top of them. So this is the next raised bed to be made. It's now half full of last year's weeds. I've got to pop some drainage holes in. I don't mind the water building up in there. They've all been cleaned out and everything. Water helps kill off any bindweed or anything else that's in there. I don't know whether I've killed my yacon or not, because you're supposed to leave your yacon out. Yacon's a South American ground pear. Grows like a potato. Well, it grows like a sunflower, but you harvest the roots, which are like a potato. That's them there. They taste like pears. They're really nice, but you're supposed to wait till the first frost, and I did that, and they taste really nice. But unfortunately, I think the frost was too hard, and it's killed the plant. And normally by now, I'm getting new shoots come through. But it's not this year. So I think I've possibly killed my yacon. I'll have to buy another one. I didn't really want to do, because I bought one, 2-3 years ago, and I divided it up, and I had 4 or 5, and I think I've killed them all. As long as one takes, I just want one to take, and I'm fine. Save myself a tenner. Oh, I've also got to prune the grapevine at some point, and I think I've left it too late. But I'm gonna have to see if I can do something with that now in February. Whoa, hit my head off the greenhouse. Raised beds have all got to be topped up, which is something I do every year, and got to be weeded through. Got buttercups growing everywhere, as you do. These beds you'll know from a couple of years ago, or if you don't know, they started off exactly the same way as that one over there, just filled full of weeds. I keep everything, every weed I get, I keep it, and I'll use it for compost, and I just top them up. And you'll see how this was filled filled. This was up to here last year, but obviously as the weeds have rotted down, it's sunk down. Free compost. I mean, if you look round, I buy very little compost compared to how much space I've got. You know, I probably buy half a ton a year, maybe. But when you think about how much growing I do, it's not a lot really. I do make a lot myself. And obviously the chickens, they provide loads of compost too. Hello, there's 2 people watching. Feel free to say hello. So yeah, and then soon the chicken run, all this goodness on the floor will all get chopped up and put in the compost for next year. You beauties, you're compost making machines, aren't you? Yeah, you are. Then you know you are. I always give them pumpkins and stuff and melons. They're not food waste. They haven't been in the kitchen. They've literally come either straight from the shop, straight here, or they've come straight from my garden, straight here. They love a pumpkin. Try and grow extra pumpkins every year because the chickens like them so much. Jerusalem artichokes have been ratted. What do I mean by that? I mean the rat's been digging away. See the hole? See there's a hole there? The rats and the squirrels seem to like them and they dig them up. Their farts must stink because but every year they dig. I have a few, the squirrels have a few, and every year that pot comes back bigger and better. So let them to it, leave them to it. Nature's got to eat too, hasn't it? Yeah, so there's the bug hotel. As you can see, it's literally a pile of twigs, wood, logs, weeds and everything else. I got to paint this up soon. I had an idea for this and last year I never got around to doing it, but basically I want that to be the entrance to the bug hotel, and down in that corner there I've got to fix it out and put like a little hedgehog doorway through. I know the hedgehogs can get everywhere, but I want to make it look a bit quirky. Right folks, I think that's a bit of a whirlwind tour of the things I'm going to be cracking on with the next few weeks. Sort my yakon out, sort the raised beds out, finish off the bug hotel, tidy it up a bit. Well, I've got to I've got to repair that fence because it's a bit wobbly and wonky. Oh, and also I've got to do the chicken coop extension, which has been planned for a year. Because the chickens, if you remember, were over there in the corner and they worked so well in that corner, and they had a lovely house and a little run and everything. It all worked great. And I kept telling the council that it was flooded. I kept telling them, and they still haven't done anything. It's been like 5 years now. So the chickens had to move, which means the whole allotment had to get rejigged. And I'm really and truthfully, I'm still only halfway through rejigging it. Hi, right, how you doing? Good morning to you too. Yeah, so that's where we are. I've got to chicken wire all of this. And then what I'm going to do, you know the clear corrugated sheeting that you put on like shed roofs and stuff? I'm going to put some of that over there. So only the top bit, probably from here to there. So 2 sheets, just to get the worst of the rain off, but not so much that it acts as a greenhouse, so it cooks the chickens. Because I don't fancy coming down here in the summer and finding chicken biryani as all my chickens are laid out there and have been roasted. So it's just going to be a bit of rain protection. It's all going to be chicken wide as well. And I don't know yet whether I'm going to completely extend the run that way and then put a door in here. So I'll obviously, if you can imagine this, I'm going to walk. It's good. Let's do the full walk. Let's do the full walk, shall we? So I don't know whether I'm going to do this. I'm going to walk down through my new path, and then all this will be chicken wired with a nice clear perspex roof all the way down here. Now, do I continue the chicken wire all the way down here and have a door in this bit here, which would open up so I'd be straight away into chickens? I hope I haven't made you feel sick then, because that was quite fast, wasn't it? Or do I do what I did over that side and make a chicken tunnel system? It's a chicken tunnel. I just don't know why they're called channels. I suppose chicken and tunnel. Anyway, and you put a little tunnel in and it'll go into there, and then I'll have a door here to get in. So I'd kind of have two separate chicken coops, but they'd be working as one. But then I'd have the option of always closing one half off if I wanted to. Because I have thought, with the price of everything at the moment, is getting some meat birds. We don't eat very much meat anymore. We do eat meat, but we don't eat as much as we used to. But I was thinking about getting maybe 5 or 6 meat birds for, special occasions, Sunday lunches and this, that and the other. And then if I wanted to, if these were separate coops, I could always lock one off to make sure that the egg layers are getting the egg laying food, and then the meat birds are getting the what's the word? The bulking out food, the meat food, the food that makes them fat. That's the one. So that's another idea. Whether it happens, I don't know. Right, folks, you're all very quiet today, so I might bugger off. Go and have some breakfast. Hello, pigeon. Yeah, I think that's about it, really. Sort my strawberries out as well at some point, because my strawberry harvest last year was crap. I bought a load of new strawberries and most of them died. The company I got them off gave me a refund, which was nice, but I bought bare root strawberries and I think I bought 70 plants and about 4 survived. They literally came bare root. I did everything properly as you would normally do with strawberries to get them growing, and I like to start mine off in pots, and none of them took, or hardly any of them took. I think they'd have been, I think they got frosted in the post because we had a cold snap just before they come. And I got a funny feeling that they were probably just left outside in a van and just got nuked. Now, you can't nuke something in the cold, can you? But they got they got frostbitten. That's always nice to see, isn't it? I like seeing that. The Mises have been nibbling the poppy seeds. That'll be some good compost for next year. That was last year's compost. That's just all the eggshells and everything else. Anyway, folks, I think that's it. I think that's a very quick whirlwind tour in the morning. I don't know what else to say, really. I know I've seen on the news that interest rates are going up again, and the oil firms have made more record profits, which is always good. And everything's getting more and more expensive. So if there was ever a time to try and grow some more food, now is it. Small tunnel into the big one is the way to go. Yeah, I'm going down that angle. I think it's possibly the way to go, just for having the option of having separate coops. Even as well, if I ever get a poorly chicken, I can separate them and know that they're perfectly happy, got loads of space, but I've got 2 separate runs. So you might have just sold it to me there. Yeah, so if ever there was a time to grow fruit, vegetables, now is it. Because I have a funny feeling that we are heading for, well, let's not beat around the bush, we're heading for full economic collapse in the UK, to be fair, aren't we? Yeah, we are. Because, well, I don't know if you've seen on the news the other day that since the pandemic, the government have spent £700 billion, and they can't tell us where they've spent it or where it's gone to. Now, a lot of people don't, and I myself, you don't understand how much a billion is, and 700 billion, you can't even compute that in your head. So 700 billion, which is what the government have given away while we're all struggling to pay the bills, while energy companies are making record profits, and while the government aren't paying their own tax. They've given away 700 billion, and they can't tell us where. 700 billion is the equivalent of giving every adult in the UK £14,000. Now, when you're struggling to pay your gas bill, or struggling to pay your food bill in the next few months, remember that you've been robbed of £14,000. If you're over 18 in the UK, the government have basically stolen £14,000 from you. And you'll think, well, they haven't stolen £14,000 from me because I didn't have £14,000 and I'm no worse off now than I was before. Yeah, but it's services. For instance, you pay your taxes, you have done for years. There's cuts to police, cuts to the NHS, cuts to schools. The way they've handled the mortgages with the stupid fiscal plan that buggered up the economy only a few months ago, it's the equivalent of you being robbed of £14,000. All those little things add up, and they add up to £14,000 for every adult in the UK. Scary times, folks. Scary times. Now, I'm a bit of a prepper. I always have been. People think preppers are weird, think we go around in like nuclear fallout shelters and stuff. I'm not. I just make sure I've got food security. So I always like my house to have a month's worth of food in it. I've done it for years. I've always done it. I've always had a pantry, always had tin stuff, dried goods. I've always made sure I've had a month's worth of food in. People used to take the mick out of me. They really did. And then the pandemic hit. Do you remember the pandemic? And everyone was panicking and going to the shops and going, oh, there's no food. And I was like, I'm all right. I got 4 weeks worth of food, minimum 4 weeks worth of food. I can literally put my deadlock on my front door, not go anywhere, and I'm good for at least 4 weeks. And if I eke it out, I'm probably good for 6 to 8 weeks. So yeah, food security, it's going to be a big one. And I think for the first time in a generation, our generation, us millennials, us 30 and 40 somethings, are going to start to understand what food security is. Because I think it's going to come to a point where some of the basics you're not going to be able to afford. And not just because of the prices going up, but also supply issues, because there's a lot of things at the moment around eggs and other things, if you look at it, that the farmers can't actually produce the produce for the same for a price that they can make any money and a living from. Now if you're a farmer, you're not going to make food for free and then you're going to starve and you're not going to pay your mortgage. So if you can't afford to raise the chickens and then sell the eggs, and you're not going to get a decent price from the supermarket, you're not going to raise any chickens because it's going to cost you money. Then all of a sudden there's going to be less eggs, less chickens, and the price goes up. So yeah. Anyway, it's probably enough ranting about the government. Need to chill out. Okay, right folks. Very quick first live of the year. Don't know how it's gone. 16 minutes of me rambling. Oh, there was a comment. Hang on, sorry, I've lost the comment. So cold, I've got a cold nose. Where's the comment? Live chat, all messages. Oh yeah, trying to keep the cupboard in fit. That's exactly what I do. I've always been the same for years. Even as soon as I got my first house, I always made sure I had a really good stocked pantry. And that was before I had kids and when I was living on my own and everything. I always wanted to make sure that I had a good stock pantry, so I could literally deadlock that door, and if I don't have to go anywhere, I don't have to go anywhere. The thing is though, we laugh about stuff like that. It's what our ancestors did. Well up until probably the 1960s, most of our ancestors will have had at least a month's worth of food. I mean, if you lived out in the countryside, there's a lot of people that would have had 6 months plus worth of food stored away. So yeah. Anyway, I gotta go. I've procrastinated enough and I need to go and have some breakfast. So thank you for watching. As always, take care. Speak soon. Gotta figure out how to turn this off now. How do I do it?